Hey guys, what's up? It's Alyssa, and today I'm going to be talking about mortgages versus deeds of trust, aka trust deeds. Side note, I just got my hair done today for the first time in about 9 months, and I know that's not why you're here, but I'm really excited about it. Anyway, we've all heard about mortgages, but what actually is it? And what the heck is a trust deed? I'm going to give you a fairly quick overview on what they are, the main differences, and a few related vocabulary terms. If you find this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. So let's jump in. So first we're going to start off with a little bit of vocabulary. A promissory note is a promise to pay or the IOU to the lender. So that's pretty easy to remember. Promissory note, promise to pay. It also states the terms of the loan and is evidence of the debt. Hypothecation. So to hypothecate is to pledge something as security without giving up possession. So this allows the borrower to maintain ownership while using the property as collateral of the loan. It also allows the lender to take the property if the terms of the loan aren't met. So conventional loans. Sometimes they're called conforming loans because they must meet certain standards set by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are the largest investors of conventional loans, so they can set these standards, which typically are things like a minimum credit rating or a certain loan-to-value ratio. And the most common types of conventional loans are fixed rates and adjustable rates. For unconventional loans, these typically have lower standards, but they're backed or insured by the government. So that's why banks will take lower credit scores or riskier borrowers because they know that if the borrower defaults, they're still insured by the government. FHA and VA loans are unconventional loans. So now let's go over the OR versus EE rule. So when you see a term that ends with OR, this is going to be the giver, or you can remember this as the give-or, the person who performs the action. So these are going to be the grantor, the lessor, the vendor, the optionor, trustor, offerer, and mortgagor. Then we have the receiver, or the person who is receiving on the receiving end of the action. So that's pretty easy to remember because you can just remember if the word ends with EE, they are receiving. So that would be the grantee, the lessee, the vendee, the optionee, the trustee, the offeree, and the mortgagee. So the grantor is giving the deed to the grantee. So now let's go into a mortgage. A mortgage has two parties, the mortgagor and the mortgagee. So with what we've just learned, the mortgagor is the borrower, and it's OR because they are giving a pledge or promise to pay back the loan. So in a mortgage, the mortgagor is the borrower, the mortgagee is the lender because they are receiving the pledge to pay back the loan. So a lot of times people get this backwards or they think it's an exception to the rule, but in this case, the borrower is giving the pledge and the lender is receiving that pledge. The mortgages are used in lien theory states. So that means the real property is pledged to a lending institution and then they have a lien on the property, but the buyer still holds the title. Mortgages also typically have a defeasance clause, which states that once the mortgage is paid for, the ownership rights are given back to the borrower. Now for a trust deed, it has three parties: the trustor, the trustee, and the beneficiary. The trustor, again, is the borrower, OR, trustor, because they are giving a pledge or promise to pay back the loan. The trustee, in this case, is a third party. They're the trustee, EE, because they receive legal title and hold it until the trustor pays back the loan. And here, beneficiary is the lender. They're going to receive the distributions from the trust if the trustor defaults. So essentially, if the borrower stops paying the loan, then the beneficiary gets the collateral or the house. Trust deeds are used in title theory states. So this means the buyer signs the deed of trust, which puts the deed in the lender's name, and the trustee holds the legal title while the trustor holds equitable title. An equitable title is what allows the buyer all of the rights that come with ownership, unless, of course, they stop paying the lender. And I want to point out that trust deed or deed of trust is a lot less commonly used because people still refer to it as a mortgage, even though they're in a title theory state. So it's kind of like when people say Ziploc or Kleenex, when those are name brands, but they just use them for any type of sealable plastic or any type of tissue. So the way to receive full ownership with a trust deed is the deed of reconveyance, or the reconveyance deed. So once the final payment is made, the beneficiary will sign a request of reconveyance, and the trustee will issue a reconveyance deed to the trustor. And I also want to point out there are a few states that are neither lien theory or title theory. They're known as intermediary states, and they use basically a combination of lien theory and title theory. So another difference we have is the way that property would be foreclosed on in these two types of scenarios. So with a mortgage, if you're going to foreclose, you'll go through a judicial sale. But with a trust deed, you'll go through a trustee sale. So under a judicial sale, the lender has to actually file a lawsuit, and the foreclosure is made under a court order. So this takes a long time, maybe even up to a year, of course, because like anything in the court system, it's a slow process. A trustee sale, on the other hand, has no court involved because the trustee holds the power of sale. So this can be completed within a few months. And under a trustee, you can also proceed with a judicial sale, but obviously most lenders wouldn't take that route because it takes longer to get their money back. So in summary, a mortgage has two parties, the mortgagor and the mortgagee. They are used in lien theory states, and they would foreclose by judicial sale. And then a trust deed has three parties, the trustor, the trustee, and the beneficiary. This is used in title theory states, and they would foreclose with a trustee's sale. So there you have it. If that was helpful, I'd love to hear what you learned in the comments, or if you still have questions, feel free to drop them below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.